The morning sunlight slipped through the white curtains, painting soft golden lines across the room. The warmth felt gentle on your skin, almost like a soft reminder that you were still here, still breathing, still healing, and still loved. Good morning, sleepyhead. Jungkook's voice broke the silence, deep yet tender, carrying that tone that always made your heart calm down, no matter how anxious it was. You opened your eyes slowly, blinking up at him. His hair was messy, his sleeves rolled up, and that smile, the same one that made every bad day feel survival, was already there. He smiled faintly. You are too cheerful for someone who barely slept. He chuckled, sitting on the edge of the bed. Someone has to make sure my stubborn patient takes her medicine and gets ready on time. We can't miss our flight, can we? You groaned softly, hiding your face in the pillow. I don't want to go. Jungkook leaned closer, brushing your hair away from your face. His touch was already warm, steady, like an anchor in a world that had once felt like it was slipping away. You can't deny last minute, my love. He whispered with a teasing grin. You promised you would listen this time. You are the one who plans everything without asking me and then forces me to go. You mumbled, pretending to pout. You are so cunning, John Jungkook. That made him laugh, a real laugh that filled the entire room. I have to be, otherwise you would spend all day wrapped in this blanket refusing to move. He sat up slowly, sighing. Maybe the blanket deserves more attention than me. He shook his head, handing you the small white pills and a glass of water. Nice try, but I love you too much to let you skip your medicine. You looked down at the pills in your palm for a moment, Myasthenia gravis, your lifelong companion, your silent battle. Some days were good, some not so much, but it wasn't the same pain it used to be. The fear, the loneliness, the heartbreak that once made breathing itself difficult. Those had faded ever since Jungkook came into your life. You swallow the medicine, letting out another sigh. You know, you make it look easy, taking care of me all the time. He leaned forward, pressing a kiss to your forehead. It's not supposed to be easy, he said softly, but when it's you, it's worth it. Your chest tightened at that, not in pain, just emotion, pure, overwhelming emotion. You smiled, your voice trembling slightly. Sometimes I still can't believe you are real. He smiled back. Then I'll just have to keep reminding you every day, huh? You laughed quietly as he stood and opened the suitcase at the corner of the room, carefully checking the travel documents and your medications again, his usual routine. We are going to Greece, he said, his tone light and excited. I can't wait to see Santorini with you. Just imagine white houses, blue roofs, sunsets that look like they're made of fire, and you standing there. You leaned back on your hands, watching him with that soft ache in your chest again. He wasn't just your doctor anymore. He was your reason for still believing that love could be gentle, that it could heal instead of hurt. You thought about how your life had twisted and broke once, how you once believed it would never feel whole again. But looking at Jungkook now, his laughter, his patience, the way his eyes softened every time he looked at you, you realized something profound. Maybe life didn't go the way you wanted it to. Maybe it was never meant to. Because sometimes the things that fall apart are just making space for something better. And right now, sitting in that sunlit room with him by your side, you knew this was that something better. You whispered quietly, almost to yourself, God really had a better plan for me. Jungkook turned, smiling as he zipped the bag. What did you say? You looked up at him and smiled. Nothing, just thank you. He tilted his head. For what? For being the part of my story that finally made sense. He walked back to you, brushing your cheek with his thumb before leaning in to kiss you softly. Then let's go finish this chapter, yeah? Greece is waiting for us. You nodded, heart light and full. For the first time in years, the future didn't scare you anymore. It felt like home. The airplane wheels touched the ground and your heart skipped a beat. After hours of flying, you had finally arrived in Greece. You pressed your face gently against the small window, watching as the golden sunlight poured over the endless blue sea. The islands shimmered under it like a scattered piece of heaven. Beautiful, right? Jungkook's voice came from behind you. You turned to him and smiled faintly. His face was tired but peaceful, his eyes glowing with that same calm confidence that had always kept you strong. Beautiful is too small a word, you whispered. Stepping out of the airport felt surreal. The warm Mediterranean breeze brushed your hair, carrying the scent of salt and wildflowers. The sky was a deep, endless blue, and everything around you seemed alive. The laughter of people, the distant sound of waves, the feeling of sunlight on your skin. Jungkook pulled the suitcase behind him with one hand and held your hand with the other. "Welcome to Greece, my love," he said, smiling. You laughed softly. "It already feels like a dream." "Then let's make it a good one." He guided you to the car that waited outside. The ride to the hotel was quite peaceful. You couldn't stop staring out the window. The narrow white streets twisted like ribbons, every wall covered in bright pink, and the domed roofs glowed against the sea in the distance. Children played near the steps, and the scent of fresh bread floated from tiny bakeries at every corner. By the time you reached your hotel, your heart was full. The place looked like something out of a postcard. White walls, blue balconies, and the sea spread endlessly below. Jungkook checked you both in, his tone calm and polite, before leading you to the room. When you stepped inside, your breath caught. The view from the window looked straight out into the ocean. Waves rolled gently against the shore, and the setting sun turned the sky into shades of orange and pink. "Oh my god, do you like it?" he asked, placing the suitcases down. "Like it?" You turned to him, smiling with tears almost threatening to fall. "It's perfect, Jungkook." He smiled softly, walking toward you. "Then it's worth every plan, every long flight, every sleepless night." You chuckled and sat on the edge of the bed, stretching your legs. "You are such a perfectionist." He grinned. "Only when it comes to you." For a while, you both just stayed near the balcony, watching the sunset. The light reflected in his eyes, and you couldn't help but think how someone could be this steady, this gentle after everything. You still remember the days when you couldn't get out of bed, when pain wrapped around your body like invisible chains, and all you could do was cry quietly into your pillow. Jungkook had seen all of that, the tears, the weakness, the fear, and yet he never walked away. He didn't just treat your illness, he treated your soul. He finally broke the silence, his voice soft and careful. "Tomorrow we go to the hospital for your final treatment, so tonight you rest, alright?" You nodded slowly, but your face fell without you realizing it. The word hospital still had the power to make your stomach twist. It wasn't fear exactly, just a quiet ache that came from years of fighting, something that refused to leave. Jungkook noticed instantly. He sat beside you and wrapped his arm around your shoulders, pulling you gently into his chest. His scent, clean, warm, familiar, made you close your eyes. "Hey, don't think too much, okay? Everything will be fine, I promise. After this, you'll be free from all that pain." You didn't answer right away. Your throat felt tight, emotions swelling up in your chest. His fingers rubbed soothing circles on your arm, and for a moment all you could do was breathe him in. Finally you whispered, "What if it doesn't work?" He pulled back just enough to look into your eyes. "Then we'll try again, together." Your heart trembled. There was something about the way he said "we," like he truly meant it. You buried your face in his shoulder, tears wetting his shirt silently. "I don't deserve you sometimes." He smiled, pressing a kiss on your hair. "Then it's a good thing I never asked you to." The room went quiet again, only the soft rhythm of the waves outside filled the silence. That night, while Jungkook went to unpack, you sat by the balcony watching the stars spread across the sky. They looked closer here, brighter somehow. You breathed in the salty air and thought about everything. Myasthenia gravis, That was the name of your illness. Something that had once felt like a curse, a thief that slowly tried to steal your strength away. It attacked your muscles, your nerves, sometimes even your ability to breathe. There were days you couldn't lift your arms, days when your vision blurred, and days when your body refused to move no matter how much you begged it to. The treatment in Greece was experimental and advanced immunotherapy combined with plasma exchange. It was said to bring long term relief, even remission, to patients like you. Jungkook had found the program, researched every detail, called every doctor. You hadn't wanted to go at first, afraid of another disappointment, but his hope was something you couldn't say no to. You glanced back at him now. He was folding your clothes neatly, humming softly to himself. You smiled. There was a time you thought your story ended when your illness began, that love couldn't exist for someone who came with so much pain, so many limitations. But sitting here now under the Greek sky, you realized love wasn't about finding someone who saw you as weak. It was about finding someone who stayed, even when the world told them to run. And Jungkook stayed, always. You whispered quietly, watching him move around the room. Maybe this is what healing truly looks like. He turned at the sound of your voice and smiled, that boyish smile that made your heart flutter even after all these years. Did you say something? He shook your head gently. Nothing, just thank you for bringing me here. He walked closer, leaned down and kissed your forehead. Thank me when you are running on the beaches again, he said softly. Tomorrow is the start of your new life. You looked out at the moonlit sea, letting his words sink deep into your heart. Maybe he was right. Maybe after all this time, you were finally stepping into the part of your story where things started to bloom again. For now, that was enough, and under the Greek sky, for the first time in years, you whispered a prayer, not for healing, but for the strength to believe in it. The next morning came quietly. The air was soft, carrying the scent of the sea and the distant sound of church bells echoing through the narrow streets. You barely touched your breakfast, nerves tightening in your stomach as Jungkook held your hand while the driver took you both to the hospital. He was calm as always, his thumb rubbing gentle circles on the back of your hand. It's just another step, love, he said with a small smile. You have got this. And somehow, because he said it, you believed it. Hours later, the treatment began. The room smelled faintly of antiseptic, white and quiet. The doctors in Greece were kind, patient, and professional, but your eyes only searched for Jungkook. He stood near the window, mask pulled below his chin, his eyes never leaving you. He wasn't just your doctor anymore, he was your safety, your home. The immunotherapy took time, the needles, the machines, the slow rhythm of medicine entering your veins. It was all familiar, yet this time it felt different. You weren't alone, you weren't scared. And when the last dose finished, the doctor walked in with a smile that carried hope. It went perfectly, he said in his thick accent. Your body responded beautifully. This is a big step forward. You did very well. He looked at Jungkook, tears forming instantly. His lips trembled before he laughed, relieved, light, like a storm had finally passed. He rushed to your side, cupping your face with both hands. See, I told you, he whispered, his voice breaking slightly. You are free now. Tears rolled down your cheeks as you smiled, your voice shaking. We are free, Jungkook. He laughed softly and kissed your forehead, his lips lingering longer than usual. Let's go watch the sunset, he said quietly. There's a place I have been dying to take you. That evening, the sky above Santorini burned in gold and pink. The island glowed like it was celebrating something sacred. Jungkook held your hand as you both climbed the stone steps that led to a little house with a blue roof, the very place he had been talking about since the moment you landed. When you reached the top, the view left you breathless. The sea stretched endlessly below, waves turning rose under the fading sun, Seagulls circled lazily above the rooftops, and the air carried the faint music of laughter and clinking glasses from nearby cafes. Jungkook spread a light shawl on the bench and motioned for you to sit. Then, as the sun dipped lower, he leaned back beside you, one arm resting casually behind your shoulders. This place, he murmured, eyes fixed on the horizon. It always reminded me of peace. The first time I saw it in pictures, I thought if I could bring you here someday, it would mean you made it. You turned to him, eyes soft. You said that like I climbed Mount Everest. He smiled. You did something harder. You survived. Your breath caught. The way he said it, so quietly, so full of truth, it made your heart ache in the most beautiful way. You reached for his hand, intertwining your fingers with his. I wouldn't have made it without you. He shook his head gently. You would have. Maybe slower, maybe in pain, but you are stronger than you think. You smiled faintly. I think I started believing that only because you did. For a while, neither of you spoke. The sunset painted your faces in gold, the world around you falling silent except for the soft sound of the sea. Jungkook brushed a strand of hair away from your face and whispered, I love you. You smiled, eyes started glistening. Say it again. He chuckled, leaning closer. I love you. You laughed quietly, one more time. He smiled, his forehead resting against yours. I love you more than this sky, this view, this life, more than everything. Your heart swelled as you whispered back, and I love you for making me believe that broken things can be beautiful again. He kissed you then, slow, soft, and full of every promise he had ever made. The kind of kiss that didn't ask for anything, just gave. When you finally pulled away, the sun had almost disappeared, leaving only a warm glow. You both stood looking out at the sea, and that was when you saw him, a man standing near the stone wall, his back half turned. The wind brushed his hair, and when he looked up, your breath froze. Your heart stopped for a moment. The world seemed to blur. Sam, he looked older, his face more defined, his posture more guarded, but his eyes, those eyes were exactly the same, shocked, disbelieving, locked on you. You didn't move. Your fingers went cold in Jungkook's warm hand. The past you had buried so carefully had just walked back into your present. Sam didn't speak. He just stood there, his expression torn between surprise and something you couldn't name. Guilt, maybe regret. The air suddenly felt heavier, your heartbeat echoing in your ears. Jungkook turned slightly, following your gaze. You okay? He asked softly, not yet understanding. You blinked, swallowing hard. I think I just saw someone I never thought I would see again. Your voice was barely a whisper because there he was, the man who once called you a lifetime burden, the man who left when you needed love the most. And he was looking at you now, as if he couldn't believe what he was seeing, alive, smiling, standing beside someone who truly loved you. The sunset glowed behind him, but for you the world had gone silent. Only the sound of waves remained, crashing softly in the distance, reminding you that sometimes, even when the tide returns, you are no longer the same shore. Then your eyes landed on a woman standing beside him, elegant, warm-eyed, and a little girl holding his hand, her tiny face curious as she looked between all of you. For a second your breath caught. The air felt heavy, tangled with memories you thought were long gone. Then he walked toward you. Ryan, it's really you, Sam whispered, finally stepping closer. His voice trembled. I didn't believe it when I saw you. You smiled faintly, trying to steady your voice. It's me. He exhaled shakily, his eyes flickering to Jungkook before returning to you. You look different, healthier, happier. I am. You said softly. The woman beside him gave him a small nod, understanding something unspoken, and took the child's hand. We'll wait by the car, she said gently. Sam hesitated but didn't stop her. When they walked away, the silence grew heavier. He stepped closer. I heard about your illness back then. I didn't know if you would. His voice broke. I didn't know if you would make it. You looked at him, your heart strangely calm. I made it. I can see that, he said, his eyes glistening. You don't know how many nights I wished I had stayed. I was a coward. I thought walking away would protect me from the pain of losing you. I was wrong. You swallowed, watching the man who once held your whole world in his hands. You didn't leave because you were bad, Sam. You just couldn't love me through my worst days. And that's okay, not everyone can. His gaze dropped, shame flickering across his face. You were never a burden, you know. I told myself that because I was scared. You smiled faintly. And I told myself I would never forgive you. He looked up, startled, but your voice softened as you continued. But now I do, because if you hadn't left, maybe I would have never found out how beautiful and an unexpected life can be. Maybe I wouldn't have met Jungkook. At the mention of his name, Jungkook stepped closer, gently sliding his hand into yours. Sam's eyes followed the motion, his expression tightened for a moment, jealousy flickering just beneath the surface. Jungkook gave him a small, polite nod. His voice was steady. I've heard a lot about the past, but I'm glad it led her here. She deserves peace. Sam's jaw clenched. You take good care of her, don't you? I love her. Jungkook replied simply, and I'll keep doing that every day. You glanced between them, feeling the shift in the air, the quiet ache of what once was and the warmth of what now is. Sam nodded slowly, a faint bittersweet smile on his face. I'm happy for you, truly. You found the kind of love I was too weak to give. You smiled faintly, and you found yours too. Don't carry guilt forever, it ends here. He looked at you for a long second, eyes soft, resigned, before turning toward his wife and daughter. As he walked away, the little girl turned back and waved at you. You waved too, smiling softly. When they disappeared around the corner, you exhaled deeply, realizing how light your heart suddenly felt. Jungkook squeezed your hand gently. You okay? You nodded, looking up at him. I think I am. For the first time in years, I actually am. He smiled, relieved, proud. Good, because there's one more thing I have been waiting to do since we got here. You blinked, confused. What thing? Before you could ask again, Jungkook gently pulled you to the middle of the rooftop terrace, right where the ocean met the fading horizon. The sky was streaked with purple and gold, and tiny lanterns had begun to glow around you. Your heart pounded when he suddenly knelt down on one knee. Jungkook, you whispered, eyes wide. He smiled up at you, his hand holding a small velvet box. Inside, a delicate silver ring caught the light of the setting sun. You once told me life never goes the way we want it to. But you taught me that whatever happens, it happens for a reason. Maybe we met because we both needed healing. Maybe fate was late, but it came anyway. Tears welled in your eyes as he continued. I don't want to just be your doctor or your reason to take medicine on time. He chuckled lightly. His voice broke. I want to be your reason to smile, to live, to wake up every morning knowing someone is loving you with everything he has got. You covered your mouth, tears spilling down your cheeks. Jungkook. You took a deep breath. Will you marry me? The world went still, the sea, the wind, even your heartbeat. All you could see was him kneeling there with eyes full of love and hope. You smiled through your tears, whispering, You already know the answer. He stood, slipping the ring onto your trembling finger before wrapping you in his arms. The moment your lips met, the sky behind you exploded into colors of dusk. The same sky that had once witnessed your pain, now witnessing your peace. You whispered against his chest, I thought life broke me once. He smiled, pressing a kiss on your forehead. No, my love, life was just preparing you for me. And as the bells from the village chimed softly in the distance, you closed your eyes, finally free, finally whole, and finally home.